You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. Yes, we are live. We're back, ready to go. And without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C., a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Callahan, a.k.a. etc., etc., etc. And I welcome my co-host all the way from Woods and Shores Studio.
Not a whole lot. Another Wednesday night. We're pretty much all going to be on lockdown here pretty soon, but we're here now, and we're going to try to make the most out of it.
You know, it's really nice because, you know, we can talk some sports because there are some things that we can talk about, Voldy.
There are.
NFL free agency is still going, and, you know, there's enough content here, and I think, you know, we're going to have a fun time with this because we got a lot to talk about, especially with the Minnesota Vikings, which is pretty much the only team that's are going on right now, I would say.
Yes,
you know, the NFL, yeah. But anyway, I mean, this is going to be a fun show, and the Zoners have been waiting for it. They're all on lockdown, and it's like, well, what are we going to do? Well, you're going to watch MinneZona Sports Live is what you're going to do. You know?
I mean, you're missing out if you aren't.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, without further ado, we got to get to our first segment. It's something called Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Voldy, one of your favorite Vikings is gone. Laquan Treadwell signed a deal with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm kind of surprised about it, for one. I mean, the stats definitely are not much. I mean, he only caught 20 passes in 2017 for 200 yards and 35 passes for 302 yards and one touchdown in 2018. So it's kind of weird, you know. But we kind of saw it coming. You know, he's a first-round pick. It was something that just didn't work with the Vikings. And you wonder why that is. Okay, was it because he was lazy? Was it because he just wasn't as good as advertised? I mean, I don't know. Voldy, I mean, are you surprised by this, or what do you think?
Well, I think the numbers really do speak for themselves in the fact that obviously there wasn't a real opportunity for him to make a play at all. I mean, the fact solely on his rookie season, and he never saw the field at all. You draft a guy in the first round, you assume he's going to play. Obviously, talent was there. The opportunity was wasted on the Vikings. This isn't Laquan Treadwell's fault. This is the Vikings' fault. This from day one. I've said this. Put him on the field. Let him make a play.
Sure.
They never gave him the full chance. Tried. Never fully gave him. Never fully invested in him because at the time, you know, they got him in the draft. Nobody ever heard of a guy named Adam Thielen. Stephon Diggs wasn't even around yet. If he wasn't that the Stephon Diggs that we knew now. There was no name wide receivers at the time. You know, I think that was around the time the Vikings also had like Jerome Simpson around at that time. Those were a dark couple of years when he was around, trying to figure out who's going to be the QB week to week. And there wasn't really any consistency with the fact that Laquan Treadwell got any fair shake whatsoever. Everybody's like, he's a terrible player. I can't believe we wasted a first-round draft pick. Well, hold on. Vikings never gave him a fair shake in the first place. Like I said, when his entire rookie season, never even saw the field. First touchdown pass came the later weeks of, his second season. By that point, Adam Thielen was taking things over. Stephon Diggs was starting to come around, and now, he's already behind the 8 ball without even getting a chance to, chalk up a cue, get himself onto the table. And I'm glad to see he's going to get a chance somewhere else. I really hope that him going to Atlanta is going to give him an opportunity. Gets to learn from somebody like Julio Jones, who's done it all at this point, minus win the big one. Got a really good, consistent quarterback in Matt Ryan, and I'm just happy to see that he's going to be back in, some familiar territory down in SEC country, him coming out of Ole Miss.
Right. And the thing with Treadwell is I think sometimes people kind of looked at him as like, oh, he's a bust and everything like that. Well, to be fair, he's just under Troy Williamson, okay? He's definitely better than Troy Williamson. I'll say that.
Most definitely.
But we all have to remember too that he was a first round pick, and the thing is you gotta, as you say, Voldy, hashtag unleash the Quan. Okay, I mean that's kind of the thing with the Vikings. But here's where it gets kind of dicey. Stephon Diggs emerges, Adam Thielen emerges. Okay, you have Rudy, you had AP at the time, and then he moves on, and then, Dalvin Cook, and then Latavius. I mean, all these weapons, but there was not enough, I feel like there was not enough room for him to branch out. And the thing is that he's got talent. He does. But I felt like he had some moments, though, I will say. He dropped the ball a couple times in key moments against the Packers.
Right.
But, again, he was – I don't know what it was. I don't know if the coaching staff was like, no, like, look, we can't put him in there. We just can't because he's not a very good receiver. But, I mean, can we just at least give him a shot?
Right.
I mean, they're talking him up, and when Cousins finally came to Minnesota, Voldy, he was talking Treadwell up to me. Oh, yeah, he could be a 45, 50 catch guy. Okay. Everything went well in training camp, but then 35 passes, 302 yards, 1 touchdown.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing here? So I don't want to say that. I mean, they cut him after this year. Let's remember.
They did,
and they had to re-sign him back. So now they were in a position where it's like, okay, we got to fill the void a little bit. But, again, Laquan Treadwell, I mean, it sucks to see, a guy that I thought was going to be good for the Vikings. And that was at the time, too, that the Vikings had Teddy Bridgewater. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we will never know how that tandem would have worked. I wish it would have. I mean,
absolutely.
But with Teddy getting hurt, I mean, it was just kind of bad luck, with everything, with Treadwell. I mean, Teddy goes down, the emergence of Thielen, the emergence of Diggs, nothing much he can do about it. So, I wish him the best of luck in Atlanta. I think it's a good place to learn from the likes of Julio. Then you have Calvin Ridley there too, and they have a pretty good offense. So hopefully he gets a chance to showcase. I mean, there were some flashes of him going up and getting the ball and stuff like that. So it's just like, let's keep doing that. But they never did it. So I don't know. We wish him the best of luck. But the thing is, too, I forgot to mention, the Falcons were talking up like they just made a huge signing. Like but I mean, it's really not a huge signing here, folks. I mean,
right.
The stats speak for itself. But, again, like you said, he just didn't really get the chance to showcase his skills. Now it's time to put up or shut up, though. Wouldn't you agree, Voldy?
Yeah, I think also going to Atlanta is really going to help his confidence as well,
Right.
with the fact that he is not going to, be that guy. He's just going to be another piece of the offense to really try and plug in and find his key spots, taking the pressure of trying to prove something that, he's been trying to do since he was drafted in the first round, of trying to be that top guy. He doesn't have to be the top guy. The Falcons already got two top guys. They got Calvin Ridley and they got Julio Jones. If he can be that second to third receiver in the middle for the likes of Matt Ryan, he's going to be fitting in just perfectly, and he can catch a lot of passes this year.
Right. So we'll see what happens with Laquan. I mean, the thing is yeah, it's not. We're not perking it. It's not a big loss. We saw it coming. They're giving him a shot. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. So, but anyway, let's move on to our next hot take. We're sticking with the Vikings because, again, it's pretty much all Vikings for sports.
Yep.
The Vikings made a couple signings today. One, wide receiver Tajay Sharp, 1-year deal for the purple, and it doesn't fill the void of talent like Stephon Diggs, but I will say I like what I see because he's coming from Tennessee, and Tennessee is kind of a weird place because there's a lot of good wide receivers there. It's too crowded.
Yeah.
It's too crowded. So we'll get into that in a second, but I want to mention one more other thing. The Vikings also made a signing with Anthony Zettel from San Fran. Since Stephen Weatherly's gone, it doesn't seem like Zettel's going to be the starter per se, but I could be wrong. I don't know because Everson's gone too, so we can't forget that.
Exactly.
But he signs a I think it's just a 1-year deal if I'm not mistaken, kind of like a prove it deal. Same with Sharp. So we're kind of seeing where that goes. But Voldy, I want your thoughts. I mean, what do you think of the Vikings signings today?
They're not flashy signings like a lot of Vikings fans are wanting, but they're good role player signings as well. Tajay Sharp, Anthony Zettel, they could jump right off the page. They could have solid years. They could, they're going to be the guys that are going to be filling in some big roles that have been lost by the Vikings. Zettel's going to probably be the second or third D end for the Vikings defensive line. And Tajay Sharp, he could work himself in there. He could be that third receiver guy behind the likes of, Anthony, or I should say, Adam Thielen, I should say, and even the likes of, Olabisi Johnson and the crew for the Vikings as well. I mean, he could end up being that number 2 receiver to kind of take a little bit off of Thielen. I mean, like you had said, it's been a crowded receiving core for the likes of Tennessee the last couple of years. And, they had to make a move, and just so happens the Vikings were the ones to benefit.
It's with Tennessee, they were a running team this past season.
Yes.
Derrick Henry, everything like that. But again, we got to look at Sharp, and he only had 329 receiving yards this season, but that's because Derrick Henry. And I don't think Tennessee's missing Sharp, so it's like, well, the Vikings are kind of like, all right, we'll sign you to a 1-year deal, prove it. If you can be the number 2 guy, let's see what you got. And we got to hear from the zoners here too. I mean, this is a signing where it can get interesting because he is a fast receiver. He's a good route runner. So, hey, Kirk, very accurate passer. Let's see what he can do, And it's not to say like they're not going to draft a wide receiver because I think they still will. But I also think they got to start getting some old linemen. They got to get some depth here. And, I'm still not sold on Riley Reif. I'm still not sold, unfortunately, on Pat Elflein now because after this past season, I'm kind of left scratching my head. So, this is good. They kind of fill minor needs. But, again, I'm hoping Tajay Sharp can be the number 2 guy because I think him and Thielen would be a good tandem. Zettel, I think, will help a lot, because Weatherly was good when, he replaced or whenever Everson was out of the game. Weatherly would come in and do a great job. He's with the Panthers now. So what do you have to do? You get Zettel, a guy who was with the San Francisco 49ers, and shoot, they're in the Super Bowl. So, again, I mean, he's a good pass rusher, but obviously he probably won't be the starter. But it's enough to go on here. So I want your thoughts on Zettel, Voldy. What do you think of him?
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of situation. He's going to be a guy that's going to have to prove himself right from the get-go and jumping right into training camp. You know, the fact that he was on a pretty good defensive line for the likes of San Francisco this past year. A lot of moving pieces they had with that defensive line, and also the defensive unit as a whole really came up in, you know, some big situations towards the end of the regular season, did Zettel for the San Francisco 49ers. I think it's going to be it's a good move. You know, you'd like to see the likes of, you know, Weatherly and Griffin come back for the Vikings, but obviously that's definitely not going to happen, and the Vikings kind of miss their chance. But I think Zettel will fill in a nice couple of roles there for the Vikings, at least to try and get some pass rushing and try to take, you know, a little bit more pressure off the backs of Danielle Hunter on the other side of the line.
Right. And that's pretty much the consensus. And, you know, they're going to go into the draft. They're going to look at some, you know, younger guys. Well, that's if the draft is still going to go on. It seems like it is. But, again, it's, you know, it's kind of up in the air. But we got to look at this from a different perspective, because you have Sharp as the 2 receiver. You have B.C. Johnson. You have a lot of young guys in their wide receiver core now. You know, I mean, Thielen's, you know, he's not a spring chicken, as you like to say, Voldy, but like he's the top guy right now. You know, and you know, here we go. This is the off season, and now, you know, the first wave of free agency has kind of gone on, but we'll see kind of how it goes. Oh, we got a comment from our zoners, Cole Munson. Tajay is a solid depth signing. Oh, okay.
Yikes.
I think there's a typo. I think he would be overcast as a good second receiver, but prove it signing, like I was saying. Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think? And then he says, what do we think they'll need to do in the secondary? Well, they got to sign some cornerbacks now, too. Yeah, I mean, we talked about
they got to pray.
I mean, is it Xavier or depth? That's what he meant. Okay, not depth.
That's what I figured he meant.
Yeah, gotcha. But anyway, no, I mean, it's like Cole was saying, it's a good signing, but then also the cornerback situation. I mean, I've been hearing talks that people are thinking Xavier might come back. Like,
oh Lord,
I'm not sold on that after what I
Please,
saw last year. I mean, it was they got to move on. I mean, their top guy's Mike Hughes right now. I mean, let's go. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, what else do they need to do? They got to look in free agent. I mean, Slay's gone. I know he was in a possible destination here in Minnesota, but he's gone to the Eagles. So they got to figure out something, because I think our secondary will be cooked if it's just Mike Hughes and Holton Hill and Chris Boyd.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough position to try and find the right guys for, because of the fact that they literally have next to nothing except for Mike Hughes. And, well, Mike Hughes is coming off, you know, he wasn't 100% this year. It was coming off an injury towards the end of, you know, not this season, but the season before. And it took a lot of snaps for him to get some of those game reps and back to where he was towards the end of the previous season before he injured himself. It's probably going to have to be through the draft, unfortunately, a little trial by fire. Maybe they could try and come up with somebody, hopefully somebody that's, you know, kind of name worthy, but you know, it's going to be a long road ahead for that position for the Vikings.
I would say so. And, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's kind of how it is, you know, being a Minnesota Vikings fan. You know, it's like, hopefully they have a plan. I trust Rick Spielman and Coach Zim, but, you know, we'll have to see. But anyway, I think that'll do it for our Tater Tot hot take. But today, folks, the North remembers. We like to talk about, you know, the great moments in Minnesota sports history, but also there are some moments in Minnesota sports that aren't so kind. So this is the North remembers.
These are the moments enshrined in Minnesota sports history. The North remembers.
All right, so the North remembers, like I said, we got we got really cool moments. We got some moments. So today's topic is something that we wish never happened. So I want you guys to check this out.
McDermott is the snapper, and the kick is no good. Wow. Go figure. Oh, baby, yeah. It's time to pray to the heavens, Michael. You're right. No good. Not even close.
Let's look at these laces one more time. Jeff Locke, the holder, is going to try and put it down, and bingo. Looking right back at the kicker, and I'm telling you, psychologically, sometimes that can get a kicker, but there's no way to practice making a 3-foot putt.
Oh.
Yeah.
22 yards, I think, right? Or no?
I don't know anymore. I try to forget about this moment a lot.
Man, I don't know what to say, because, you know, this is a moment that none of us will ever forget. Because, and I think the name in the lower third sums it up perfectly. We got comments coming. All right, my favorite part is Blair Walsh then played for the Seahawks not long after, which is true.
The next season, I think it was, or the season after. It was fantastic.
Yep. He started off with the Vikings, though, in the preseason. Then they said...
Then they cut him.
They tried him out and said, okay, he's still thinking about last year, which, again, is hard to get over. But I tell you what, it's, okay, 27-yard field goal.
27.
27-yard field goal. The Vikings are trailing 10-9. They're going up against LOB, Legion of Boom, Russell Wilson, who didn't have a great game.
No, nobody had a great game in that one.
No one did. Well, let's remember, too, it was probably like negative 10, negative, 11. I mean, it was freezing.
It was cold.
It was freezing.
It was cold.
I mean, we already had zoners talking about how there were some zoners were at the game, and they couldn't feel anything. Like you can't feel your arms sometimes, Voldy. They couldn't feel anything because it was so cold. But here's the thing. Guess who wasn't cold, though? Bud Grant.
I was just going to say the best part of that whole experience was watching Bud Grant come out for the coin toss wearing a hat and a polo shirt like it was nothing, like a day at the golf course. And he just went out there and owned it. That's my football coach right there.
Yeah, and he went out there and he I think the quote was, or something like, I'm paraphrasing, he goes, "Oh, well, being cold is only just a mindset. Didn't bother me."
Like that, yeah.
And it's and it was either the first, second, or the second year of TCF Stadium. Yeah, TCF Bank Stadium. I mean, that whole game, the defense was fantastic. Except when Russell, fumbled the ball and then just made something out of nothing, which is just, I couldn't believe it because, I like Russell Wilson a lot. And
absolutely.
He just absolutely, just provided so much trickery and everything like that. But the Vikings offense couldn't get going. I mean, again, you're going against the Legion of Boom. But the thing is, that last drive, Voldy, when they got in field goal range, Teddy was, and I quote, dipping dots. He was. And we got him into field goal position. And then
he really did. Yeah.
Blair Walsh, 27 yards. I remember sitting in my apartment at SMSU, and I got up, and I couldn't believe it. I grabbed, it took me a good 15 minutes to say, you know what, this happens all the time. I mean, it really does. It really does. And I got over it and everything like that. But Voldy, I got to hear what was your, well, first of all, what was your reaction? And then what was your experience like? Because this is the North Remembers. I mean, the Zoners chime in too.
Let us
Where
know.
were you? Were you at the game? Were you watching the game? What were your thoughts? Voldy, take it away.
Well, I was in the same boat as you. College apartment, the campus of Southwest Minnesota State. As you can see the flag behind me. Go Mustangs. And I kept thinking to myself, it's like overtime, in the drive in the fourth quarter. And I think, wow, this is going really well. Teddy's moving them right down the field, taking what the defense is giving them. Okay, field goal range. Left hash, Blair Walsh, he's been kicking pretty well in this contest. And I thought to myself, in the back of my mind, this is going way too well. He's going to miss this kick. Kick goes up, wide left. My immediate reaction, I was hysterical. I was laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. And then I got up about a couple minutes later, and I was just like, I just can't believe this happened. I said to myself, watch, he's going to miss this kick. And that's the thing. It was 26 seconds left in the game. There wasn't really any time to soak it in.
Yeah.
Seahawks come out on the field. They take a knee. Game's over. Just like that. It's not like, okay, there's a minute and a half. Vikings got 3 timeouts to work with and, to try and get the ball back. No, it was literally one knee. That's it. After about 7 replays, literally camera cuts back. Seahawks are already coming on the field. Like game's already over because they took the one knee and that's it. It was just the weirdest set of circumstances and the most Minnesota thing to happen to the Vikings with a chance to win a playoff game in sub-zero temperatures against a very hot team, that being the Seattle Seahawks, and then just wide left.
Yep.
That's it.
And that's where it started. That was the end of Blair Walsh with the Vikings, pretty much. That missed kick was, and here's the thing, the Vikings haven't had much success with place kickers. I mean,
no, they have not.
That's how it is. And, the Kerf doctor is always talking about Ryan Longwell. Never got the chance to kick the field goal in the 2009 NFC Championship game, but we won't get on to that. We're talking about this. We'll wait on that one.
There's a whole show dedicated to that game.
That could be. That honestly could be. I think we might have to do that, Voldy. But, again, it's – I keep watching the replay over and over again. The Kerf doctor, putting up the GIF here. And the Zoners are probably just like, how do you miss that? Just
seriously.
How do you miss that? And Blair was perfect all game, wasn't he? Yeah, he was perfect all game.
The only points they scored in that game.
Yeah. He was the main reason we were in it, too. But we also have to factor in is it's not completely on Blair because, I hate to say this, but Adrian Peterson fumbling the ball.
Yep.
Too. Cam Chancellor ripping the ball out. And AP has struggled fumbling the ball in big moments. And, it was just a game where they should have won. They should have won. And they would have played either Arizona or Carolina if my memory serves me right. But
yeah,
I couldn't believe it. And, I know it's cold out and everything like that, but this is a kick you can't miss. And here's the thing. If he made the kick, there's 22 seconds left. You still have to kick off to Russell Wilson and everything like that, okay? I mean, shoot, it could have been a Seattle miracle.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, too. But, again, if they have the lead, the defense has been great all game. We could stop the Seahawks. We're moving on. It's sad. It was a sad experience watching the game, and I almost passed out because it was just I couldn't believe it. And the reaction that people had on the socials medias, Voldy, was priceless. I mean, there was a lot of funny things, and I swear I got so many photos and memes and everything of the missed kick by Blair Walsh. And the funny thing is, like Nick mentioned, he went to Seattle right after that.
Yeah.
So
Can't beat him. Join him.
Yeah, and a lot of former Vikings, Voldy, have gone over to Seattle. So don't be surprised if you see Everson Griffin go over there.
Oh, Lord help me if that does happen. That's where Minnesota Vikings go to die. They go to Seattle. Tavares Jackson went to Seattle. And he got a Super Bowl ring. I mean, come on. Really?
Yeah.
Tavares Jackson.
T-Jack.
Come on. God.
Yeah. I mean, this is something that will go down. I mean, this wasn't as bad as the 2009 NFC Championship game to me because, well, it's going to the Super Bowl, Well, for that one. This one is just a playoff game, but they were doing so well. The Vikings were number 3 seed. I mean, for goodness sake, they're going up against Seattle, and Seattle is still, still Seattle at that point. But they had every opportunity to beat them, and they whiffed on it. And with Blair, the Vikings did everything that they could. Blair misses the kick, but then it led into the next season. The Vikings said, all right, you're gone. You feel bad for the guy, though. I do feel bad for Blair Walsh, okay? But, again, you got to get rid of that in order to succeed in the NFL. And guess what? I don't think Blair Walsh is even in the league anymore.
No, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Cole liked that you bashed Tavares. Dude was a beast. No, he wasn't. That's absurd statement material right there. That's
what I keep always saying, and I try to make this a saying. You can polish a turd all you want. At the end of the day, it's still a turd. Sorry, this is a family show, folks. I didn't mean to get all. I didn't mean to get PG-13 on that one.
With a sprinkle of 13, that's okay. It's okay, but it's again, it's a tough. It was tough, and zoners chime in as well. What were your thoughts of the game? What do you think happened? And just give us your thoughts. And if you're doing it live or you're checking out later, drop us your comments. We still check it out. We want to respond to you. So just throwing that out there. But anyway, Voldy, we got to move on to our next segment. It's your favorite segment. It's my favorite segment. It's the Zoner's favorite segment. It's something called ARA.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right. Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
All right, we got a new look in the NFL, new team, same team, new logo as the Los Angeles Rams on Monday unveiled new team colors and logos that will debut this season. Let's hope that they do debut this season with everything going on, which did include a little bit of a change of their new logo with the LA Rams, with the L and the A and then a ram horn kind of coming off the top of the A. That was leaked a couple of weeks ago that fans were not 100% a fan of to begin with. Some people thought maybe it was the Chargers' new logo, but it turns out the Rams are the ones that are going to be the ones with the new logo. Gone are the uniforms of the navy blue, light gold, and white, reminiscent of the old St. Louis Rams. Yeah. That's gone. They're going with Rams Royal and Soul. Yes, that is the name of the color for yellow that they're going with. Of course, kind of touching on the Hispanic heritage of the Los Angeles area that they now occupy. I don't know if you've seen the new logo or not, Matt, the one with the actual ram head on it. Sort of approved the new look Los Angeles Rams.
At first, Voldy, I saw it leaked for one, and I thought it looked terrible. I'm starting to kind of warm up to it a little bit, but I'm not totally satisfied with it. I mean, as I'm looking at the Ram in general, it's better. But the LA thing, I'm not a fan of the LA thing because you know what? It kind of does look like LA Charger one.
Right. Right.
So it's
because
like,
the leak picture actually did look like, because of the new logo. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yep.
Got it up here on my phone.
Yeah.
See the yellow part where the ram horn is, that wasn't filled in. It was like a picture of a hat.
Yeah.
And it was navy blue.
Yeah.
It was, it had like light gold. It did look like the Chargers, and it was kind of cut like it too, like a thunderbolt. And it was very interesting to see. And I thought, oh, that's a weird interpretation of a Chargers logo.
Yeah.
But I do like the LA for the Rams. The new Ram logo, at first I was like, okay, now they're just trying too hard to make it look like the Rams. But I like you said, I'm kind of starting to warm up to it as well.
Yeah.
They got the right colors. They got rid of the St. Louis Rams, scheme with the navy blue and the light gold. That just wasn't going to work too well with them moving back to Los Angeles, especially when they had the white the white horned helmets with the navy blue and the white jersey. It was just an ugly look overall.
Yeah.
But then when they went to the blue helmets with the blue jerseys, that worked out fantastic. They should have just kept those all year.
Right.
I like the new overhaul. There's more to come as well. I think like another 5 or 6 teams are changing up some logos this year. Tampa Bay is one of them. Heard some rumblings about the Patriots as well, maybe changing up uniforms and or logos. But it's got my stamp of approval for the Rams.
I'll say this. I would probably say for me, Voldy, it's I like the color scheme. I really do. I like the color scheme. The blue, the soul, as you like to say there.
Yes.
But, I mean, I can get with it. I'll give it my stamp of approval now. But I feel like until I see what the jerseys look like, until I see what, just kind of the apparel will look like for them, then I'll be fully sold just depending on what it looks. I mean, jerseys like the back of your hand, Voldy. I mean, your own father knows jerseys like the back. We got to see what we're working with here, I feel like, a little bit more before we make the judgment on it. I like the color scheme, though. I really do like the color scheme. I think it looks fantastic. So, yeah.
Definitely.
I'll give it my stamp of approval because,
there you go.
Why not? Why not? As the Kerf Doctor likes to say. So, boom, we'll take it. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, a little bit of news in NFL free agency. The first of many exits from the revamped XFL this past season as well, in a shortened season. The first major name to go off the board, the quarterback for Houston, that being P.J. Walker, was signed by the Carolina Panthers this week. Quarterback P.J. Walker now signed to an NFL roster, the first XFL player to be signed to an NFL roster since the revamped league this past year. And, of course, that did force the hand of Carolina a little bit to make some moves. They signed Kyle Allen right at the beginning of free agency. Gone. He's going back with his head coach to Washington. Old Riverboat Ron in D.C. As, a couple interesting moves. And we also did see the likes of Cam Newton get released the other day. Now, sort of approved a chance for P.J. Walker to either A, be a solid backup, or maybe compete with old Teddy Bridgewater for that starting job.
Oh, it's got my stamp of approval. I was a big fan of P.J. Walker in the XFL. Even though he was on a different team, Battlehawks for life. But, I mean, he was like the MVP of the XFL so far. Well, obviously the season got
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Yeah, we'll never know. But in those games that he played, he was really good. And I believe that he has a connection with Andrew Luck. And his father is the commissioner of the XFL. So, hey, they say to give him a shot. And boom, look, now he's on an NFL team. And he could compete with Teddy B. He could. But he's got – I think what they're saying here is he's going to compete for the backup job with Will Grier.
Yeah.
And
Will Greer's no, push me over either. I mean, he put up some big numbers in his time when he was at West Virginia, and also that little spurt he had down in Florida too.
Right. And I think it's a perfect opportunity for him. I mean, the deal's worth $1.5 million, signing bonus of $150. I mean, workout bonus, he gets $25 I mean,
Not bad.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, according to ESPN's Diana Rossini, I mean, it's perfect. It's got my stamp of approval because, I think that kind of offense would fit him. And,
Definitely.
Matt Rule, I think, is a guy that will figure out how to utilize him. Now, if he beats out Teddy, oh, man. I mean, you gave him all that money, but,
It's true.
never count out Teddy B. Never count out
Never.
Teddy B. But it's got my stamp of approval. What do you think, Voldy?
Yeah, it's got my stamp of approval as well. PJ Walker reunites with his old college coach and Matt Rule. I think it's going to be a really good battle at that backup position. See what Will Greer does and brings into this year. I mean, he was a high draft pick for them a couple years ago. Now he was in that third spot for them the last season at least. Now he's going to be battling with PJ Walker, who very well could have been the MVP of the XFL this year if it wasn't cut short because of the coronavirus. But I think it's certainly Teddy Bridgewater's starting job to lose. It's going to be a very good battle to see how things kind of shape up behind Teddy Bridgewater in case things do go south in a hurry for Bridgewater.
Yeah, and it's you're giving a guy an opportunity here, and there's a lot. I mean, Jordan Ta'amu. I mean, he got signed by the Chiefs. I mean, he won't. Take over.
Not going to see a lot of action.
Yeah, he won't see a lot of action. But another team, in the preseason, and if he does well, another team could pick him up too. I mean, this is great because the Vikings also did sign an XFL player linebacker too. So I mean, this is good. This is really good, and they're getting a chance in the NFL, and we'll see where it goes. But, yeah, it's got my stamp of approval, and I'm pretty sure it's got your stamp of approval, Voldy.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but anyway, next one, Voldy.
All right, we've got another little bit of some drama in D.C.
Of course.
Offensive lineman Trent Silverback Williams, one of the best nicknames in the NFL. Him and the Washington Redskins have had a very love-hate relationship the last couple of years. And according to the agent of Trent Silverback Williams here this past week, it claims that his client and the organization has not acted in the best interest in good faith regarding his client, demanding that he needs to be traded or released at this time. Last couple years, there hasn't been a lot of good connections as well. Some injuries haven't really helped him in favor, haven't allowed him to be active for a good handful of games. He's a 7-time Pro Bowl tackler. Yeah. He's been in the league for well over a decade at this point and one of the most consistent linemen, when healthy, of course. But, of course, the last couple of years been hampered by some injuries and the fact of trying to get healthy, but then the medical staff won't be able to clear him. Do you think it's time, absurd or approved, to free the Silverback?
Oh, it's time. I mean, it's absolutely 100% time to free him from DC. And the Washington Redskins, I mean, I can't believe he was with that team for this long and dealt with it, The Washington Redskins definitely are a franchise that will have like a couple good players. They'll have a good season here or there, but it all falls apart at some point. And it's got my stamp of approval that it's time to move on. I mean, 100%. But we also have to remember, too, I think certain teams would be interested in getting a left tackle.
That they would.
Vikings. We got a comment here. He works for his team. The team doesn't work for him. It's true. I mean,
it is true.
We got to think about it that way too. But when you're with the Washington Redskins, it never works out the way you want it to work out because
never does.
Owner is Snyder is just not a very good owner. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it right now. He's not, and he wants out of Washington. And here's the thing: Washington has to get rid of him, or you release him. I mean, figure it out. I mean, trade him. Give them to Minnesota. We move Reef or we release Reef. We trade Reef. Whatever. Just trade him, release him, get him on the open market. If he's on the open market, Vikings. Go get your left tackle. roll the dice a little bit. So that's just my opinion. Free the gosh darn Silverback. Please. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough situation overall.
Yeah.
The Redskins are looking at from this point, they're trying to hang on to him, because they know he's going to fetch a high dollar somewhere else. They're trying to get picks in the compensation round of the draft.
Oh, sure.
He's now 10 years into the NFL, 7-time Pro Bowler. That's going to fetch some high dollar amount. Franchise tag him, maybe try and get him in a trade of some sort, maybe a few draft picks. But the fact that obviously this past season, he held out. He held out of the season. Yeah. Combination of him not being healthy and also the fact that the Redskins say that he wasn't healthy. Didn't help anybody's case. But they're hoping that the Redskins, maybe as they get closer towards training camp, that maybe somebody is going to want to fetch up a couple of draft picks for, next year's NFL draft, if and when that does happen, and maybe a couple of first rounders, or at least a first rounder, a couple second rounders. Yeah. I don't know how much he's worth when it comes to this situation. And I just think it's time to let him go. It's time to cut ties, because obviously he's been there at the height of success. There during the RG3 days when they were running the NFC East, he's been there at the lowest points, and there's been some tough sledding in the nation's capital there the last couple of seasons, and I think it's just time to cut ties all around.
I mean, Kirk would just absolutely be elated if he came
Absolutely.
in. I mean, he honestly, he's always kept the blind side. I mean, there's rarely any guys getting past him, but, with his old age, you never know. I mean, but again, it could be an Andrew Whitworth situation. He's one heck of a tackle as well. He's a little older. He just signed a new contract.
Yeah.
Roll the dice on him, Vikings. That's all I'm saying. Just roll the dice, see what happens. And I'm sure a lot of our zoners and Vikings fans would agree. It's like we need to move on from Reef because there's too much inconsistency. Free the Silverback. That's all I got to say. So, next one, Voldy.
All right, sticking with the NFL free agency scene here. Of course, one of the big signings early on in the free agency period, Marcus Mariota going out to Las Vegas to join the Raiders. Now, this was a bit of a surprise with the fact that, the Raiders got a quarterback. They've got Derek Carr. Of course, last couple of years been pretty rocky to say the least, but not a terrible quarterback in Derek Carr. But Marcus Mariota was quoted as saying that coming into the situation, he knows that it's Derek's team. He's happy to be in a backup situation, maybe compete for a starting job if the dice so happen to end up that way. My question to you is absurd to approve the fact that Marcus Mariota going into this situation knowing that he's going to be a backup.
Well, he definitely did not get paid like a backup.
No.
I mean, we got to look at it that way. I mean, he's getting $17.6 million for 2 years. 7.5 of that guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, this tells me Chucky, a.k.a. John Gruden, I tell you what, man. I got to say, Derek Carr might not be our quarterback. And honestly, he might not be. He probably won't. I could see Marcus Mariota taking the job from Derek Carr. I mean, I could see it. Now, John Gruden, I tell you what, man. He does well with offensive, schemes and whatnot. But this tells me that they're not sold on him. They want to just try and move on from him. Because, I mean, if you're signing Mariota, this just shows that they want to move on from Derek Carr. They do. And John Gruden and the Las Vegas Raiders now, they want a little change of scenery. They lost out on the Tom Brady sweepstakes, and this was their next best option. And Marcus Mariota, I mean, he was with the Titans. Titans aren't the team. I mean, it just the scheme didn't fit after a while. It just didn't work out. He's he was the second pick in the draft at one point. I mean, this guy was supposed to be the new franchise quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. So you got to factor that in as well. He's saying that, okay, well, I'm just a backup. But you know what? That's just saying so you don't cause a rift between yourself and Derek Carr. So, I mean, it's got my stamp of approval because, maybe this lights a fire under Derek Carr. So, I don't know. What do you think, Voldy?
I think it's a very interesting move that they did make in citing Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to add a different scheme to the offense. Of course, Mike Mayock's the one pulling the strings at the GM role for them. He knows, he was quoted as saying that, of course, he sees Marcus Mariota. He thinks athleticism. He sees a little bit of Colin Kaepernick, in that sense. But I think it adds a little bit of some competitive juices because, no job is ever guaranteed in the NFL. And especially at the quarterback position, now going into, the third year of the John Gruden experience back with Oakland, now Las Vegas. This is the point that we're at now.
Right.
And Derek Carr, he's seen a lot of highs. He's seen a lot of lows, just like his brother David Carr had in the NFL. Now, I think this is a make or break year for Derek Carr because if it's not working, he could see himself very quickly, especially with the likes of Marcus Mariota sitting on the bench, maybe thinking that he's going to get a few snaps here and there. He could quite possibly do it, add a couple gadget plays for Gruden, who's the offensive guy himself, and quite possibly. I think it's approved, the fact that he's going into thinking that he's a backup, but I'm thinking in the back of his mind, he knows that he could definitely very well take Derek Carr's job.
Oh, sure. And, back in the day, a Sports Zone favorite, now a MinneZona favorite, John Gruden, man. I mean, he was in our documentary, Voldy.
He was.
He was. I mean, he's a big fan of the show, and I think, we know him well enough to think Marcus Mariota could definitely beat out Derek Carr. He was quoted saying too. He goes, "He's a legitimate dual threat, man. I tell you what, adjust your offense to this kid's skill set. It's going to be awesome, man." So you got to think of it that way too. I think, I think Chucky will be just fine with that, and we'll see where the offense goes. I mean, obviously the whole Antonio Brown thing is gone. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's see. You're in Vegas now, baby.
Exactly.
You got to cash in. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we both agree. Stamp of approval. So I think one more, Voldy.
Yes, we got one more. This one, well, we can't have any baseball, no spring training baseball. Tomorrow was supposed to be opening day for Major League Baseball, but it's gone. But there's one thing we can look forward to. Nelson Cruz wants to pump you up because Nelson Cruz wants to have a workout with fans as well.
Yeah.
It was hours after participating in a conference call with media from Twin Cities on a Monday afternoon. Cruz went live for about an hour and a half of, some workout, doing a lot of live workouts, seeing a lot of that with people, having to stay home because of the coronavirus and showing some of his workouts that he does to stay so in shape at the age of 39. Which is like 1,000 years old in baseball years because he is on the outside looking in when it comes to the fountain of youth. But he also, threw out a little bit of something towards others as well that maybe you could try to stay fit at the same time at the age of 39 or whatever age as well. Stay in that baseball shape, or maybe you find a little something to, get you in shape at this point and this time of the year, whether, you're stuck inside because you can't work, or maybe the fact that maybe you're trying to find a new workout program. Sort of approved Nelson Cruz trying to do a little bit of something extra to connect with the fans, even though he can't do it on the baseball field.
I don't know if there's enough stamp of approvals, but it's definitely got mine, if that makes any sense. But yeah, we'll take that. No, it's definitely stamp of approval, Voldy. I mean, he's doing things that. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Kerf doctors can. I mean,
get after it.
Going, but your hand might get tired. But anyway, yeah. I mean, it's really nice to see that athletes are doing these types of things to keep people positive, entertained. and stuff like that. Because, you know, you look on the news and you're just like, you know, it's all the cases that, you know, are going up, you know, flatten the curve type of thing. Us as a society are trying to stay positive with this, because this will pass. It will pass. And here's what Nelson Cruz is doing. He's trying to stay fit. He's trying to, you know, do everything. He's trying to, you know, be like, hey, well, you know, let's all get together, social distancing. But
absolutely,
again, you got to keep busy in these types of times. I mean, none of us have experienced this. And Nelson Cruz is doing something that a lot of, you know, not only athletes are doing, but celebrities. I mean, you know, this is something that we need right now, and Nelson Cruz is making the most out of it. So it's got my stamp of approval. Voldy, I assume it's got yours.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a whole lot that isn't absurd about this. No. The fact that, of course, trying to stay connected with the fans, show a little bit of himself, what he does, because obviously at the age of 39 in the Major League Baseball, you know, it's a young man's game, and he, this past season, showed it that, you know, sometimes it's age before beauty.
Yep.
Not saying that Nelson Cruz is ugly or anything, but, you know, he's certainly capable with the baseball bat, and, you know, it's very good to see, of course, all sorts of athletes, celebrities trying to connect with those that, you know, are less fortunate, or even just let people know that, hey, we're all going through the same thing. And, you know, this is just one small measure of a very large issue that is a part of society now.
Right. And, you know, this is something that it, you know, keeps you involved. I mean, interesting, instead of like, oh, this many cases have been confirmed and, you know, things like that.
Right.
You know, this is what we need. This is definitely what we need. So, stamp of approval. And, you know, I think that's going to do it for ARA, because that was a great ARA, Voldy. Well done,
Absolutely.
as always. But we got to get to a segment that I think a lot of the zoners need and all of us need right now. It's time for Shield Shoutouts.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who are you shouting out today? Or tonight?
All right, well, a big one here this past week that we definitely need to send a Shield shout out to. Hoyer's Heroes is back. New England Patriots signed former backup quarterback and former leader of the Tom Brady Clipboard Holders Association, Brian Hoyer, to his third stint with the Patriots. 1-year deal to quite possibly take the charge with the Patriots. He's still getting paid by Indianapolis as well. He's getting more money from Indianapolis to not play for them than he actually is with the Patriots. So in the long run, that's smart thinking and playing by Brian Hoyer to at least show some sort of, you know, I wouldn't say consistency, but some sort of cohesiveness at the quarterback position, because Brian Hoyer has been a part of this team now going into his third run, but he's seen the highs, a lot of highs with this team, and quite possibly take them to that next level in the Tom Brady-less era of the New England Patriots.
Now, I got to ask you this question, though, Voldy.
Yes, sir.
Will the Tom Brady's Clipboard Association continue in Tampa?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Tom Brady's still in the league. There's still going to be a Tom Brady Clipboard Holders Association.
That's just a question. Sure. The zoners got to know. I got to know. So
it's going to be a question of who's going to be holding the clipboard now. Because we certainly know it's definitely not going to be Jameis Winston. Missed opportunity by him. Infamous Jameis. He's taking his talents elsewhere, I guess.
Taking him and his new 2020 vision with him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we got another special Shield shout out. This past week, the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas in New Orleans had wonderful news. They had a new penguin chick born this past week. And when thinking of a new name, why not go with the most popular name that there is in the Crescent City? Zion, named after the rookie sensation Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. A special Shield shout out goes out to the Audubon Aquarium of the Americas, their newest penguin chick by the name of Zion.
That's a mouthful. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Believe me, it was harder to type that out than it was to actually say.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
we do have to send a special Shield shout out as well to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Of course, a lot of the players and members of the team still down in the coastal region of Florida for, spring training. Of course, there is no spring training, but a lot of people in the Pittsburgh area overwhelmed and overworked with the likes of hospital staff at Allegheny General Hospital. Yeah. This past Monday, a handful of Pittsburgh Pirate players paid for lunch from 2 different pizza establishments, sending 400 pizzas from 2 different places to Allegheny General Hospital for the hospital staff. Of course, a lot of the hospital staff, if not all of them, are, staying at the hospital, working hours on end with the fact that the coronavirus is, most prevalent on the East Coast and forcing a lot of staff to have to even sleep at the hospital just to even try to stay on top of something that's changing with each hour of the day.
Sure. Yeah, 400 pizzas. Yeah, that's a lot of pizza. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the least.
Yeah.
Got another couple Shield shout-outs here before we wrap up the show. Got to go one to Mrs. Sarah Ann Tewsvold for a little bit of some assistance. I'm going to put my phone down here for a second. Show off the needlework that she did. See this guy right here?
Yeah.
A little patchwork action.
Sure.
Sew that on there for one of my work bags, and also on the inside, I have to carry around a digital recorder to for recording meetings and interviews. Sewed a little pocket here on the inside, a nice little designated area.
Yeah.
So, try to stay busy. Unfortunately, with the way the world is, not everybody can work, 12, 15-hour days like the like of us here. Right. DJ Matty C, Kerf Doctor as well. But, a big Shield shout out to our creative consultant, Mrs. Sarah Ann Tewsvold, for a little bit of assistance, trying to keep things a little bit on the up and up as of late.
You got to stay positive.
Absolutely. Got one more Shield shout out. And this one's more of a little bit of a sales pitch as well. Got to send a Shield shout out to longtime Zona original Jim Vold, Jimbo himself.
Jimbo!
Not, he's got a little more free time on his hands as of late. And if you follow him on Facebook or any of the socials medias, if you're friends with him, noticing that he is emptying out the jersey closet. There is a lot to go through, and he is selling like crazy. He's got some deep cuts. Yeah. He's got some gems of jerseys, a lot of Vikings jerseys. And, you put in a good word, you see what he's got for sale. $10 a piece, depending on, size and jersey. And, shipping and handling costs you another $10. He's got you covered. Now, I know, DJ Matty C, you're going to have to go check it out, see what he's got available. He has got some gems. Yeah. I saw that he's got an infamous Jameis jersey that may or may not have your name on it.
Honestly, I think I might have to do that. I might have to talk to Jimbo about that, because we got to do it for MinneZona. I mean, we
Absolutely.
have to do it for MinneZona. But that E.J. Henderson one, I'm eyeing up. So I'm going to be talking to Jimbo here soon, and I think.
I already snagged the Jacksonville Jaguars Blaine Gabbert jersey.
Hey, got to.
Absolutely, that's my boy.
So and I know the Kerf Doctor probably could find some good ones there too. If
definitely
as well. But yeah, we got to talk to Jimbo here. So yeah, Zonas. I mean, if you're interested, check it out. Jimbo's got you covered, man.
Absolutely, plenty to go around.
Yeah, because my brother-in-law. He is a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, so maybe I don't know, but he wasn't a huge fan of Jameis, Infamous Jameis, but Infamous Jameis is a Sports Zone favorite. As much as we like to rip on him, especially stealing crab legs and everything along those lines, but still, it just makes what the Zona is, Voldy. That's But yeah, we're going to be talking to Jimbo here soon. So we're definitely going to be talking to Jimbo here soon. So, but anyway, Voldy, great job as always with Shield shout-outs. They just keep getting better every week and everything like that. It's just great. But yeah, Zoners, thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a tough time for everybody, but we are here for you. Okay, because I know it's kind of tough. Just stay healthy out there. I know you've been hearing it a lot, okay? Wash your hands, do all social distancing, all that fun stuff. Or, well, I wouldn't say it's fun, but, just make sure you're doing that. Make sure that, you're taking care of yourself, too. So, we don't want to spread this virus, but eventually we got to come together, and we will, we will. So, but anyway, we're going to sign off for now, but I think we'll be back next week. We're going to make sure we're all quarantined. We're going to be safe. And I tell you what, man, I can't wait for episode 10. I think episode 10 will be fun. Maybe even John Gruden will show up. I don't know, man. Maybe Jaws will show up.
Who knows?
Who knows? But anyway, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.